Hierophant. We are live. Has everyone pressed the play button? Very well. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hierophant. The 5th episode of the Light and Love Transformational Tarot. Got it, eh?
Well done. Well said.
Thank you. We have a very special guest today. I'm sure you all know her, Tiffany Crosara. Gosh, it feels like we've been friends forever. Does that, you feel the same, Tiffany? I think we've known each other for a year. I think it feels like we've known each other forever. And for those who don't still know how we came about to know each other, Tiffany actually stalked me on social media for several months. Actually, I started planning my event at International Tarot Reading Festival in Montreal, and my whole message is really promoting the personal use of tarot. For personal development, spiritual growth, reaching enlightenment. And Tiffany has a very similar message, really tarot as a mirror of the soul, of the self. So she reached out to me right away. She found me on Twitter. And we start talking and start to see how we can come together and start working together and holding these, our message, bringing it together and bringing it out there. So it's been a year, feels forever, like we've known each other forever. It's great. I'm very excited for her presentation today. I'm not sure if you're all aware what she'll be talking to us about. She's going to be explaining the map of her soul evolution in the tarot, which will help us see the bigger picture and the divine timing of her journey. And I think you'll also be sharing with us a daily exercise. Is that correct, Tiffany, on how to see how we're aligned with our journey?
Absolutely, yeah.
Perfect. Very looking forward to that. We also have Juliette, who is live with us, moderating on the chat. Please feel free to interact on the chat. We won't be answering all the questions right away, but Juliette is there to flag all the questions for myself and Tiffany. So at the end of this session, we'll have a Q&A. And I'll be running through all the questions flagged by Juliette. So we'll make sure to try and answer all of your questions. Please, if there's any technical issues on your end, you can try logging out, logging back in. That usually would resolve the issue. If not, just put it into the chat and Juliette will try and flag it. We'll see how we can fix that on our end.
Also closing down any applications that are open can,
If there's anything using your bandwidth, of course, that can create some issues sometimes. Also, for those who stay till the end, we'll be receiving a special bonus from Tiffany. We have her 3 Tarot Secrets ebook and a 1-hour-long meditation for the soul evolutionary map that she'll be talking to us about today. And we also have offers at the end of the webinar. We have Tiffany Crosara's offer on her retreat in Canada, which is the week after my festival in September. And there's 1 spot left for the solo room. And if you opt for that offer, you'll be receiving a free festival pass for my festival the week before, which is a great offer. I'll also have my offer, which is a 20% discount for the 3-day Tarot Festival in Montreal in September. And we had an issue with Jean's offer last week. She's offering a $15 off on a reading for a relationship clarity. So we'll be posting back her offer this week, because I know there's a lot of technical issues last week. So we have 3 offers coming up at the end of the episode. And if you watch the entire episode, you'll be receiving the 2 bonuses for Tiffany's secret book and meditation, 1-hour-long meditation audio file. Welcome, everyone. It's great to have you all today on this 5th episode. Tiffany, how are you feeling, Tiffany?
I'm feeling really excitable. There's just been so much. There's been my birthday, there's been my wedding anniversary. I'm just about to fly off to Spain to hold a retreat. Then it's Canada, and I'm just like this excitable Leo at the moment. So I'm a bit like a Tigger.
Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. Gather yourself. You've been a little out of control before we started the webinar. Don't get started now, Tiffany. We,
Okay.
we have a lot of content
Down.
to present. Everyone's looking forward for your presentation.
Fab. Awesome. Let's do
All
it.
right.
Cool.
So let's do it. Let's begin.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know about me first and my story?
No, I don't think anyone.
Oh my
So
God, I'm in for it today. Okay.
So let's begin, Tiffany. I mean, everyone, I think let's start from the beginning. All right. Let's see. Okay. How did you come across your first tarot deck? What did that mean to you?
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that you really clicked with from the beginning?
Yeah.
And
Okay.
what I'd like to know also is that something you're just interested in, started reading about it, and then you really dived in fully into it? Or is it something that it just, came strike you right away and you picked up the deck and right away you kept it from then on? Hold on, I just need
both and neither.
Glass of water.
Yeah. Okay. I'll let you drink. I was 4 when I saw the tarot. Yeah. So it was on my mum's living room floor, which I guess was mine as well. Just laying out there. It was the Alfred Douglas deck. Does anybody know the Alfred Douglas deck? I'm sure a few will know it.
Alfred Douglas?
Yeah, it was in 1970s, so it was really bright. It was like lime green and purple mainly, and so it really struck, the visions of the high priestess. She was so blue, and the magician was so yellow and so red. And so as a child, it was just like, whoa, what are these visuals? And Barbie and Ken didn't really cut the mustard after that. So, but in all,
you still have the deck? Do you still have these cards? I would love to see them.
No, they're my mum's cards, and to be honest, I didn't actually really see them again until I was 14, and they were lying on my mum's bed, and it wasn't a particularly happy time, which I guess is why my mum had them out again, because she said that tarot wasn't really her thing. It was there for me, in her words. So yeah, basically. But saying that, I kind of was grown up. If we just go back a bit, I grew up in like a spiritual kind of family, but it was also taboo to talk about it. It was very strange. It was like totally practiced and totally not practiced. And I had like psychic experiences, dark nights of the soul, and everything as a child. Every single day was a bit like the Sixth Sense movie, So it was pretty full on, and yeah, I wanted to be.
Were you sharing these experiences with, let's say, your family and friends, or like me myself kept it all within, bottled up? Were you open about
it? I was open about it, but I kept being told that it was my imagination. Actually, there was when I was 4 years old, so the same year that the tarot came into my life, I actually also woke up in bed, head to toe covered in ectoplasm.
In what?
Ectoplasm.
Wow. How'd you get that? Did you buy
it? There was a woman that used to walk past my bed at night. Wow. And I used to say to my mum, there's this woman that walked past my bed. And yeah, I used to be told it was a figment of my imagination. And so one night I went to bed, and the woman was there, and I thought, I'm not going to tell anyone, because what's the point? And now I know spirit, they hear your thoughts,
Yes, of course.
So yeah, basically she just turned, and she didn't walk past, she stopped, turned, looked at me, and then I basically went out like a anesthetic. Boom. And when I woke up, I was peeling my left thigh, and I thought, what's this? This must be a scab. I must have hurt myself. And then I peeled it off, but my leg was underneath, and then there was like, I felt around it, and it was just like this plaster of Paris, basically, and it was covering me apart from my wrists down, my ankles down, and my neck upwards. And my mum just put me in the bath and changed my bed and put me back to sleep again.
That's all? Like it never happened?
Yeah. And so
Wow.
this was like growing up was like this on a daily level, although that was the strongest manifestation of it. I was 7 when I had my first reading by a palmist. All I remember was that she said I was going to marry a tall, dark, handsome stranger who liked to travel a lot. Well, I got the tall, dark, handsome stranger. He's quite settled. But then again, there was another one who liked traveling, but of course that's why he got away. So, but yeah, that was childhood. And then at 14, it was quite a dark time, and I saw the tarot, and I just kind of latched onto it. And I was looking at it because I wanted it to tell me that everything was going to be okay, And yeah, it didn't tell me that everything was going to be okay, because it wasn't.
And what was that, your first tarot deck at 14?
So it was my mum's. It wasn't my own. It was the same one, the Alfred Douglas deck from when I was 4, and I hadn't seen it at all from the age for 10 years, and then it was there again. But yeah, it wouldn't tell me that everything was going to be okay. So I started doing what maybe a lot of us have done, is like doing the readings again and again and again. Like, you will tell me what I want to know. And then eventually you might get like one card to latch onto, like the star or the sun, in this darkness of the tower, and the devil and the 10 of swords and everything along those lines. And I don't know about anybody else, but I became aware that when I was getting those cards, it wasn't even real. The feeling that came with it was like, if you're so determined, because you want us to tell you this, okay, we'll tell you this, but we'll tell you this with the feeling that it's not true, you know? Yeah, and it was like, okay. And I developed obsessive compulsive disorder, which took me down a dark path, and ended up on Prozac, and that didn't go down very well with my system, so I ended up in hospital having my stomach pumped. And after that, I was like, that's it, I'm done. I threw away the tarot, I threw away the Prozac, and I was 16 now, and I was like, I'm just gonna make myself healthy, make myself well. I missed going into a psychiatric unit by about that much. And yeah, so that's what I did. I worked on myself. And then when I was 19, I became pregnant, and something inside of me just went, do a reading. It was like, I don't know where it came from. And I did a reading, and I saw in the cards, I looked at them, and I just saw these cards, and I just knew. I knew I was going to lose the child. And at that time, I didn't know how to cope with it, because I've done what everybody else normally does when you learn tarot. You have the booklet of meanings, and you do a spread, and you don't really know the intricacies of how to read it. And so my way of coping with it at the time was to deny it. And I was like, okay, if I don't tell anyone and I don't use the tarot again, this is not going to happen. And so again, I was done. That's it. No more tarot. And I didn't tell anyone. And I had a very strange pregnancy. Can't go into the whole story here. We've only got a short amount of time, I'm aware. But the outcome of that was that I gave birth to my daughter Lauren, who had a very rare genetic chromosome disorder called Edwards syndrome. And she lived for 4 months. And after that, I started to tell people, because what have I got left to lose, huh? Yeah. So I started to tell people about the reading, and I expected people to say, well, don't do that again. And they didn't. They said, will you read for me? And I was like, and I felt very resistant at first, which is something we're going to talk about, this resistance to the call of living on your purpose today. And then it was like it chipped away at me. With every person I told, I was kind of testing it, I think. I started testing it and telling people and going, are they going to say, don't do that again? And they were just like, would you read for me? Would you read for me? Would you read for me? And then I started thinking, well, if I've lived through everything I have with how to read tarot or how not to read tarot, then maybe there's a way that I can work with this that actually will help people rather than people feel doomed with a prediction or anything along those lines. So I went into study and I loved it. I really understood the archetypal energy of the tarot. And that's when I just opened a shop and started reading professionally. But just to fast track that, the problem then was not only, well, at first it was clients expecting prediction. And then I closed the shop and I went to work for companies. And that was actually, it just magnified. It was some of the top London companies and some of them were TV companies. And it just magnified the whole problem that was always there with tarot. It just magnified. And I found myself on the TV with questions posed at me that were very predictive, even though I'd just written a book that was all about not how to do it another way. And I was like, what am I doing? And everyone that was ringing up was addicted. They all had obsessions and things along those lines. And I was like, I can't do this. And, you know, it's hard enough being out there as a tarot reader anyway with all of those things. But it felt like I had to just step away from what already was not part of society and really... I remember I walked into the TV studio, for instance, and I said, I'm done. I'm not a reader. And they said, what do you mean you're not a reader? You've been doing it for 3 years. Fine. We've been seeing you, like, you're a reader. What you want about? I was like, no. That's not what I am. That's what people that think about tarot, they will automatically assume you're a reader. And that's not my role with tarot. My role is something else. So then I had to come away and define that role, which is very much about helping people to get on this journey, which I'm going to share today. That's it in a nutshell.
Amazing story. Incredible journey. And for sure, that makes us who we are today, our journeys. We each have our own stories that builds up in reinforces us. And the best that we can do with our journey and our experiences is share them with people. By share them is how we can help others heal and understand and learn and grow. That's, I believe, a purpose that we have in life is we each have our own personal experience. What we do with that experience afterwards is what really justifies our role in life. So we really need to share with each other. You know, we each have a different, unique experience. Let's all share, help each other through our own, and also the new generation, the children. And as we, you know, the generations go on and on and on. So we really need to document these experiences, write them out, and share them with, you know, with everyone. I think that's a very important chapter of the spiritual awakening that we're in today.
For sure, because I think, you know, what happens is that people think that there's something wrong with them, and then when somebody else shares their experience, they go, it gives them permission. It gives them permission to be themselves and to have that self-acceptance and then the self-esteem, which is the most important work in the world. If we all had a healthy self-esteem, that's when John Lennon's Imagine wouldn't be an Imagine anymore, you know?
Exactly. Of course. And what I'm seeing is it's happening so much in elementary schools. Like I wrote a post recently because I made a choice to present at my at the festival. And the reason being is the experience I had teaching a meditation class at for first grade students. And there was a little, you know, I use tarot cards. I always find a way to introduce tarot. and I was meditating with the students on the temperance card, and this boy just looks at me, first grade student, and he looks at temperance and he says, okay, I see something on her forehead. You know, she has a circle. And then he says, okay, but it looks like an eye. I'm like, okay, interesting, very nice. He's observant. And then he says, the eye is opening. And I'm like, opening. And then he stops and he says, I can see the future. And he just paused. And for me, that was, you know, it's a great spiritual awakening that we all have when we're young. But right away, that when the teacher sees that from a teaching perspective, it gets completely shut down. And it's a crazy imagination we have to bring back and, you know, close away from that world. So by sharing our stories that have been happening since we were children to the new generation of children that are I find more sensitive to the spiritual realm and the spiritual energies that are out there, we can help. We can really help elevate the consciousness and our vibration.
Absolutely. You know, 4 or 5, that was my most psychic point. And then it was like I was being tried to be fitting into a system that wasn't actually, I wasn't made for. And it was an initiation growing up, shall we say.
Exactly. We're forced into a specific box of society. And our creative imagination gets put away, and then that's the cutoff of the spiritual realm. And then we just grow as society, and it's as if we're just a number now, until we find a way out of this system and reconnect with our spiritual self.
And that's exactly what today's presentation is about, which is really, really, really exciting. Because, you know, I think this is why we connect so much, is that we're both kind of so passionate about, you know, if you're living here for a reason, and it's to be uniquely you, isn't it? And kind of channel through what that is to the planet. And that's the only thing that matters, as far as, well, not the only thing, but it's a very big thing that matters. Otherwise, why? You know, why go through it all? Why not just stay up there where it's all like,
You know, sometimes I find myself struggling with I don't know if you have that, but the limitation of this physical realm. Sometimes I get so connected with the higher realm, the spiritual realm, and I'm being forced back down. They say, David, you need to do your work in the physical realm. And then I get filled with so many frustrations because there's so many limitations that we have. But time, space, distance, money, all these things. And it creates so much stress and frustration. But you just have to, you know, ground yourself and say, we chose to come here to deliver a purpose. So that's how I manage and cope with all these, you know, frustrations. Because let's do our purpose. And then when our time has come, then we'll go back home. And we'll be filled with endless love and divine light and, you know, beautiful heaven. Which, you know,
I think that's the emperor archetype for you. I think that's like now.
Yes.
Fastest way from A to B. Roman road thing. Yeah. Okay.
Awesome story. Are you ready to jump into your? I can't wait. I really want to understand and learn and see. So let's jump in.
Let's do this. Okay. So just getting the slide presentation up, peeps. She says, oh yes, here we go. Right, can you see this all okay?
Yes, I do see it.
Great, okay. I'm not actually sure no, it's not the first slide, sorry. I don't know why. Right, this is the first slide. Okay, so are you familiar with this diagram that you're seeing here, David?
No, I've never seen this. I've heard about you talking, and I've read about you talking about the hero's journey chart, but I've never actually seen it.
Okay, so the hero's journey is by someone called Joseph Campbell, and he wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, and he had gone all around the world and he'd studied all the different cultures around the world, all the different gods and goddesses and archetypes, and he came to the conclusion that there is actually only one. So hence the hero with 1,000 faces. Okay, and this is his diagram, and you can see this is Frodo, basically. This is a good way to see this little figure up here is as Frodo. So Oh, okay. I'm trying to draw on it, but I think you can all see where
This?
Frodo is. Yes, okay, all right. So I'll stop trying to be fancy because it's out of my league. I don't know how to stop. I don't know how to stop. I make it stop. There we go. Great. Okay. So Frodo goes on his journey, and I say it's good to see him as Frodo because the hero's journey is actually behind every good film, every good book. In fact, I'm pretty sure that Joseph Campbell and George Lucas were friends.
Okay.
So Star Wars is a really good example of the hero's journey. But actually, any blockbuster that you connect with, Gladiator, just think of your favorite film and put the character at the top here. And you will see that they actually go through this hero's journey. I just use Frodo because you'll see why in a minute. It's very clear. But say this is Frodo or whoever your character might be from your favorite story, okay? What happens is they have a call to adventure, right? And the reason that we resonate with these blockbusters is because this character is ourselves. We see ourselves in it. We can only like feel the pain or the things the character goes through when we can resonate with that character. Okay, so really what you're seeing in films, for instance, is yourself having a call to adventure. Okay, and then they meet the mentor. So for instance, with Frodo, he has the call to adventure, right? He has the ring, yeah, and then he meets a mentor, which is Gandalf, right? Okay.
Just if you just can explain who the movie you're referencing for those who haven't watched the movie.
Yeah, point. Anybody out there not seen Lord of the Rings? I do have to make sure that I'm not making assumptions. It's one of my daily practices, but I'm bad at it. So, yes, the Lord of the Rings is what I'm talking about. Okay. And that's the same. I watched a movie once before watching Game of Thrones, and they did some lines from Game of Thrones. I was like, what? Yeah. So, okay. In Lord of the Rings, there's Frodo, and he has the ring. That's his call to adventure. And he meets the mentor, which is Gandalf. And he leaves his normal world, which is the Shire, because every journey has a depart from your normal world. And then he crosses the threshold, which is the High Priestess. And I can't remember if she's called the White Witch or whatever. But basically, we then go on this journey. We go on this journey of trials and failures, finding helpers, growing, and then having trials and total crash and burns, and then revelations that come from that. And we go, okay. And then we can start to work on the change. So that's the finally changes and atonement. And then we get the gift. So like with Frodo, he also, nearly dies at one point, and then he has to really work hard in the atonement part where, well, I guess, spoiler alert, I won't tell you what happened, but in case someone hasn't seen The Lord of the Rings. And then of course, I will say at the end, it always ends the same. They return, but they return changed.
That's right.
Somehow, yes. So the interesting thing about this archetypal journey here is it numerically fits the tarot. So you have the Fool here. I don't know if I should be doing the whiteboard thing again. Do I try it or not? Can you see?
Do you want me to circle the Fool right here?
See when you did it. Yes, thank you.
Right
Okay, great. Thank you. I will leave you to do the board. How do I stop the board? Oh my gosh. Thank you.
There you go.
He makes it look so easy. You made it look so seamless on your presentation, but I'm like, oh goodness me.
You just have to focus your attention, and it appears.
All right, well, then I'll leave it to you. You can work your magic as I go through the diagram. Okay, so the Fool at the top is Frodo, yeah? In my diagram, in my example, maybe it's Luke Skywalker or someone else, Gladiator or whoever it is. Okay, and so that's 0, and you're starting there. Meeting the mentor, number 1, the magician, like Gandalf, yeah? Crossing the threshold, It's the high priestess, right? Number
That's
2.
right.
Yeah,
Going beyond the veil.
indeed, exactly. And then helpers is the empress, emperor, and high priest. Okay, so that is your help. Maybe that's like a parental help or a societal help or something along those lines. And then you and me have actually covered over the diagram from what I can see here. I'm not sure if that's the same for everyone else.
Yeah, we do cover the
Yeah,
bottom
okay.
right corner.
Bottom right corner, but you can tell from here, like we've done Fool, Magician, High Priestess, Empress, Emperor, da, 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 da. So you can tell that the next ones for growth and new skills is going to be Strength and Hermit, right? And then at the bottom there, you've got Death and Rebirth, which of course is the very next card, the Wheel. And then we go on to Revelation, Justice, Hanged Man, and Death. Okay, so Justice, Hanged Man, and Death up there. And finally, Changes, Temperance. You know, she takes you from the one place to another place. So that's that transcendence there with Temperance. And then Atonement, to make good, to work hard, to face your shadow, to make it right. That's Devil and the Tower. And then you get your gift in the Star. And then it's the Moon, subconscious, the Sun, conscious, and Judgment, like mind-opening transcendence. You return changed, and that's your cycle of evolution, i.e. the world. So actually, the major arcana, known as the Fool's Journey, actually completely fits the hero's journey in total numerical order.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I've heard already a lot of authors, and they base themselves on this just the major arcana of a tarot deck to be the basis of their storyline.
There you go. It's amazing. Like people in my course, The Transformational Truth of Tarot, their creativity unblocks. Actually, one lady's just written a book on her journey of how her life changed when she came on and did it. So that's my holiday reading. She's just sent it to me to read. And so, yes, it's so powerful. Obviously, there's the astrological side of it, which I absolutely love. That also fits in the circle and the zodiac and everything along those lines. But for today, I want to take people through their own fool's journey, which is the hero's journey. And to be honest, I think Joseph Campbell just thought, you know what? The fool's journey doesn't sound great because people like to align themselves with status, right? You know, and the fool has a bit of a stigma. It's, again, one of those things that are seen as, oh, nobody wants to be a fool. Whereas actually, the fool is one of the most amazing archetypes there is. You know, but actually out there sometimes we have to change words for marketing purposes. It's my belief. I have absolutely zero factual research on this, but it's my belief that he just thought, I'll scrub the word fool out and put hero in there. So that's the only difference I can see. Okay. All right. So what I'd like people to do is just, hopefully people have got a notebook. I mean, you might just want to scribble down these questions. Obviously, you'll get the replay, or you message us if you don't, and we'll get it for you. And you can then pause it, you know, and take your time to go through these questions. But if you want to try and do it quickly as we go through, please do, peeps. You can just scribble down my call to adventure is, and just come up with whatever's in your head. Just let it be there. You might even surprise yourself. You might feel caught in a rabbit, caught like a rabbit in the headlights, you know, like, oh, I don't know what my call to adventure is. But sometimes when you just scribble things down, because it doesn't really matter what you write, it's only you that's going to see it. It's amazing what can be released.
And that's right. It helps to unblock any blockages we might have. So just start. The beginning is the actual trick. Just start it.
Exactly. So you can just scribble down my call to adventure is, and then just it could be anything, you know, it might be something really silly. You don't have to be serious with this. As David says, you know, the more that you just do something, it's like, just give yourself permission to just, this is your time really to be a fool. This is your time to be silly, to connect with your inner child and really see what comes out. So just scribble that down on whatever you've got. Hopefully it's a pen and paper in the old-fashioned way, rather than the phone that might distract you or anything along those lines. We did send out that you would need a notebook, but we didn't make a massive point of it, so you might just have to make do with whatever you've got there. But the first question is, my call to adventure is. The other thing is, if you really are stumped with that question, think about a time that you had this journey in your life. There will be a time, like I've just told you of two of mine really, one with my daughter, which actually got me into reading tarot professionally, but in this way. And the other one was actually my time reading for companies as a professional reader and having to go through the journey there to find out. So there was two stories, two heroes' journeys or fools' journeys in that one story that I told you about just now. So if you really are at the moment feeling like, I don't know what my purpose is, then as long as you've just jotted down the question, you could take the pressure off yourself by thinking of a time that you went through something, and, you know, and just put down what that call to adventure was for you. Okay, all right. So we're going to move through this journey step by step, and each step has a question. All right. So have you written something down, David?
Yes, I have, because I think it's incredible how that, I mean, it matches with something I've experienced in life. And it was about, I would say 10 years ago, when I was in that, I would say, barrier between, let's say, a dark chapter in my life and the light chapter of my life. And I remember I was part of my rock band, and I made a choice it was time to quit, to return to the light, because there's just too much darkness overcoming me. And that was really exactly what you're explaining, my call to adventure, where I had to make a choice to let go of a musical passion, which was very physical and materialistic, and had to make a choice to get back to the light. And it was a big effort. It was a big struggle, but I got there. And I it took several years, but I just see that it's exactly what I lived through. It's just fascinating, and I want to map it out, every single step. And wow, like I said, can be content for a book, just by me mapping out all these steps and everything I've experienced in life and what I've been through with this process. It's incredible.
Yes, absolutely. And when you have this mapped as your book or things, people will be hooked, because we all go through this. Like you say, you're resonating it now, just thinking about what your call to adventure was, You're
giving me goosebumps.
Is it cold in Canada today?
No, it's cloudy, a bit rainy, but it's still a bit warm.
Okay.
Not like Vegas.
Oh gosh, no! You went to the closest part of hell after talking about the dark night of the soul. You went to Death Valley.
I had to go face it once more, and that was another call to adventure.
There you go.
There you go.
It's in everything. Yes.
And I'm back. I've returned changed.
I'm going to ask you how.
I've just so much release. It was an incredible cleanse, and I can't even explain the amount of suppressed energies that we're not even aware of, that we're holding on to. You just feel it. You feel lighter, cleansed, more focused on the purpose, more energy to work with on what your purpose is. And sometimes we have so much energy, and we're just, we might be just wasting it on what might seem fun and entertaining, but it's not really in line with our purpose. So when we go through a cleanse, we're actually using this energy, and it just definitely helps us manifest our purpose more rapidly, because it's focused, it's in line, it's more energized. It's amazing. So being conscious of what we're doing, why we're doing, how we're doing it, with a process or a map, definitely empowers the entire experience.
You know what I've just realized?
I
I've
have
just
no idea.
realised you're my living, walking, talking Frodo that's gone to the fires of Mordor in Death Valley and gone back cleansed and changed. Because it is, like you said, like this pit, is it, that goes to the closest, hottest place, like the deepest place?
The lowest place on Earth and the hottest place. It's fantastic.
Amazing. Who needs a sweat lodge when you've got that? Okay, all right. So next slide is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I'm on it or I was on it, you know, that call to adventure. How much are you accepting it? Now, obviously, this is an easier one to ask when you think about what your call to adventure is now. It's probably easier to answer in terms of...
For me, I would say 0. When I was faced with it, it was such a left field thing to do. I mean, when it comes, it's like the craziest idea. You know, I've been in I was in the band, let's say, for 12 years. And when that calling came, for me, it's not something I've never even thought of. It's something you cannot make that decision. So I would say 0. I wasn't accepting it. I wasn't ready for it. But that's when you know it's that magical, you know, spiritual calling. You can't wait for something to happen. You're ready for it and you're gonna accept it. When it happens, it's something that's so off. When you're off course, that's how it comes to you. It's like 360 degrees turn, and you turn around completely. And so I was never ready to accept it or to face it, but it was my gut says I have to take the jump. I had no idea what I was getting into, but you have to take that first step. So you can't wait for it to be, you know, your perfect scenario, the perfect thing to take, or just follow your gut, follow your intuition, close your eyes, take your first step, and just trust it. You know, our guides are here with us. They're around us. They're holding our hand. It's really our physical sight, our physical thought, that our ego that's always blocking us and refraining us. But put that aside and, you know, take the spiritual leap.
Fantastic.
So I was a 0.
Well, that's exactly it. I'm sure so many of us are on 0. And as you say, 0, this is the number of the fall, right? And you're saying that you had to jump off the cliff, yes?
Yes.
Which is what the fall has to do. And take that first step to number 1, which is, you know, what we're going to get to next. But actually, Joseph Campbell calls this step so you have the call to adventure. That's the first thing. And then you have denial of the call to adventure. And so then you have to work through the denial of the call to the adventure, which is why I've put here on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being on it, how much are you accepting your call to adventure right now? You know, sometimes just by having a question that helps us be conscious of the process, we can start to take that first step or make that decision rather than unconsciously just remaining blocked where we are. So yeah, that was well put. Now, so, you know, with your journey here, I get the feeling you did this by yourself. Now I might be wrong, but generally speaking, we tend to have someone that shows up in our path that is inspirational in some form or another. It's not necessarily a mentor in, okay, I'm going to go and hire myself a coach, or I'm going to go on a course. It might be, but sometimes it's something different than that. Like when I first started doing tarot, I had a poster up on my shop because I did the jump off the cliff thing and just opened a shop. Got myself 100% in debt and just was like, I'm opening a shop, that's it. Because I do that type of thing quite a lot, and it's always paid off actually. So, you know, I think it's 5% of the population that manage to live quite well out of their comfort zone, you know, and I think I am one of those 5%, luckily enough, although it doesn't mean it's not a challenge, of course. But yeah, when I opened the door, sorry, you wanted to say something?
No, it's okay, finish. I'll say it after.
Okay, so basically, this guy walked in. I think the first day we were open, and he actually was a high priest of Avalon. I don't know if you've heard of that in Canada, but
No.
Avalon is Glastonbury, which is just down the road from here.
Okay.
And people come from all over the world to train in Avalon, and it's Glastonbury's a
Wow.
well-known thing. And this was in London, my shop. But he walked in and he said, "Hello." He was very much like this. He kind of, in his energy, he was very much like one arm up, one arm down. And he was like, "Hello, my name is Steve, and I am here to train as a priest of Avalon." And I thought, who the F are you? Yeah, but actually, he became my mentor.
Amazing.
And just through being there in my life, like he'd laugh at me when I put posters up saying, "I'm not psychic. Everything I get is just from the cards." He'd just like be cackling himself laughing and going, "Yeah, that's like falling off the chair laughing." And the thing was, at that time, I didn't understand. I just thought weird things happened to me. I didn't correlate that there was something in me that was activating that in a way. And he really taught me how to see the link, and that it wasn't random, and that there was a certain way that I was plugged into, shall we say, that we all have, but we don't necessarily have the understanding about it. So I had a mentor then, and maybe the
Amazing.
mentor for you was just you, or
Mine
your
was
spirit guide, or something.
mine
like
was a
that.
book. Mine was actually a book. I remember I quit the band. I was lost, and I knew when I was younger I had so many spiritual experiences, but that was gone. By then it was about for 15 years. It was all a very dark chapter in my life. So the first thing I did is I need to buy the Bible. So I bought the book and I spent a couple of years just studying that, and that for me became my magician, my mentor.
Wow. Okay. All right. So yeah, a book, a person, a bird, a plane, whatever it is, just, hopefully you guys have put something down there. We've been chatting to give you some time really to write these things out, but I'm also aware that, time is ticking. So I'm trying to balance it and speed up a little bit, but not too much. I'm trying to give you enough time as well. So crossing the threshold, the way to think about this is then what life did you need to leave behind to move forward? Yeah. So in your case, David, I guess that was the band. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which had become your normal world. And now you had to go into the unknown side of things a bit more, maybe. I mean, it's like my gran, bless her. I love her to pieces. But there's no but. I do love her to pieces. But she was, she had an alcohol problem, and she was 88 when she went teetotal. She's still alive. She's just had her 90th. So no, she was 87 when she went teetotal. But she spent so much of her life permanently drunk that became her normal world. And the only time she had a car crash was when she drove sober. So, sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, we probably think ourselves that being in a band isn't actually a normal life, but for you it had become your normal world here in this diagram, and
That's
you
right.
had to now go into the unknown. Okay, so viewers, what's that for you? What's that crossing point? Because you have to leave your life behind. Like a lot of people, when they work with me, for instance, they don't actually have, when they go into something like the Transformational Truth of Tarot, it's such a full-on course that you do leave your normal world. Like you change in your relationships. You might leave your job. You probably won't have the same amount of income maybe to go down the pub with, or things like that. And it's like it's all put into something else. It's put into this journey. So you have to be prepared to leave behind what has become a normal world, because just because it's normal doesn't mean it's good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like one of my favorite quotes from Practical Magic. Here goes another film. Do you know Practical Magic? Have you seen it?
No, I haven't.
Oh, you've got to watch
No.
it. You'll love it.
Okay.
So that's your Saturday night viewing. Okay. So in Practical Magic, one of the aunties says, "When will you understand, dear girl, that being normal isn't a virtue? In fact, it rather tells of a lack of courage," or something like that. It's one of my
Okay.
favorites.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go. It's another hero's journey, in another film. So we'll move on. Okay, so then it's like, who is around me that can support me and how? So once you've crossed the threshold, yeah, we're in this place where it's like, okay, we're going through trials and failures and we need that help.
Mm-hmm.
So is this where you still had the Bible, or did you
Yes.
have help?
That's for sure where I still had the Bible, and just what the biggest struggle I had is the help I started getting was my spiritual guides returning, my visions, my messages, and all. But then studying the Bible, my biggest obstacle was that the Bible speaks against all these, psychic and spiritual messages and all. And then that's when I had my first big obstacles. Like, how do I cope with this? I've been experiencing these spiritual, experiences since I was a child. And now that I'm so much studying the Bible, it's speaking so much against it. But then that's when I started learning that I would say for me, the reason being is that we all have this spiritual gift inside. So we all have to do our own personal practice to develop our inner spirituality, our inner journey, instead of relying and becoming dependent and addicted to, let's say, a psychic that's going to tell us our future. Going to see someone else, it can be very misleading because, everything can always be changed. The future can always be changed. But if we just focus on one thing that someone else is telling us and we believe in it, we're going to be actually manifesting it. And we're losing that power and control over our own destiny and our own future. So that's when I started learning that you have to go on your own personal journey. It's not that spirituality and using tarot and using all these spiritual tools are wrong. It's just that we all have the gift within. You all have to develop your own gift within. Go on your own personal journey for yourself, for your own personal development, your own spiritual growth to reach enlightenment. So I had such a big struggle, and my guides who were my helpers, the angels, the archangels. So that's there was a lot of work, a lot of process with all this, part. So
wow.
It all fits in perfectly with the process.
For you, the thing that was helping you was also blocking you, and it seems like you went through the helper, the trials and the failures, and the growth and the new skills and the death and rebirth all in one go, by the sounds of it.
Exactly.
For me, I crossed the threshold into opening a shop, but I had so many trials and failures that I ended up freelancing for companies, which caused me the block. And actually I did need mentors. I needed to hire business mentors to get me out of that world and help me learn how to market myself and create a role for myself that wasn't at all in society, didn't at all exist. So I needed that type of help. I did need it. But it can be in, like you say, so many different ways. And then there's always a point, I think, like you say, where it becomes a block, or you have to listen to yourself. Like now, I have an amazing mentor now. I love her to pieces. But I'm also incredibly aware of sitting with my own intuition of like, I honor her. She is amazing. She is kind of always right. And at the same time, I know my path. No one knows my path better than I know my path, right? And so it's like knowing that as well, and that's really important. Okay, so who is around me that can support me, and how is this question for the helper? And we're going to speed up even more. Okay, what tests can I expect to face, and what mindset will help me through? So this is the Lovers and the Chariot. Okay, so for instance, it took me six, this is the lovers, number six, times to pass my driving test. Okay. And
We're not
actually,
judging.
no, I'm an amazing driver now because I've gone through it so much. And honestly, no, I am. Like, people will sit in my car and be like, "You're incredible!" Like, and I'm like, "Didn't even feel that gear change, did you?" No, no, no. And it's like, yeah. And then I tell them that it took me six times to pass, and they're like, and I'm like, yeah, but that's why you feel so safe with me, you know. But when I was a child, and I am a chariot, that's my birth card, you know, and when I was a child, I had reoccurring nightmares of being locked in my mum's Toledo Triumph. I think it's part of growing up as a single child. You know, she used to, a single child, in a single parent family, an only child in a single parent family, you're left on your own quite a bit, you know, and there were times that she would go off shopping and leave me in the car. I don't think that would happen these days, but I used to have reoccurring nightmares of, you know, just being in this car and it would just drive itself into a wall, or it was uncontrollable. And yeah, that stopped when I was probably about, you know, coming into adolescence, like the lovers is about, you know. But then when I started to learn how to drive, they came back, right? And I haven't had them since the day I passed my test.
Wow.
It's quite amazing, the subconscious, isn't it? It's quite
You reached
incredible.
the chariot. You reached the chariot energy.
It was my initiation as the chariot, indeed. Okay, so what tests can I expect to face and what mindsets can help me through? Now, this is sometimes why we don't even get off the starting block, isn't it? But I think when we can actually bring the mindset of like, well, I am going to face these things, that is part of reality. And the reality is that if I want to do this, if I want this call to adventure, if I want things to change, then I have to face this. Then actually sitting and thinking about it and writing it all out just helps you ground that in reality and be kind of prepared for it, really, and more ready for it when it comes, so you don't spiral into a drama so much or anything, because you knew, you know, that, and you've faced it. Yeah, and when you face things, the fear gets a lot less. So that's the purpose of that question there. What tests can I expect to face and what mindsets will help me through? Okay, and we've got Strength in the Hermit here for growth and new skills. So when you do something like this, you grow and you learn new skills. Like, I moved to Spain without knowing the language or anything at all about the country. And when I landed, I couldn't get any internet, and I had an online business at the time, and I couldn't get internet because I couldn't open a bank account, and I couldn't open a bank account without going through about 6 months of checks and having a certain amount of money and having something called a NIA, because Spain was under a dictatorship until the 80s. So it's now like, it's a bit like 1980s. It's a bit like living. I used to think, okay, if I need to understand this country, I just think England with Wi-Fi, England in the 80s with Wi-Fi, and then I'll understand it. But yeah, it was a real initiation because I had to find ways around the system to be able to actually have my business online, because I couldn't even get a NIA, because a NIA is so that you pay tax and work in Spain. Whereas, again, I didn't fit in that box. I had an online business and I wasn't working with Spanish. I mean, there's a lady here that's from Spain, but she's English, and it's, you know, so it's like, so on, you know, like that. So growth and new skills, you know, if you plunge yourself off of that cliff, the more you do that, the more you're going to learn, the stronger you get, the more you grow, the more skills you get. And you might not know right now, but just actually brainstorming, that's not the PC word now, is it? It's mind mapping or brain dumping or something. Or, you know, just actually getting it all out there, what could possibly happen, is great for unblocking the call to adventure. Anything you want to add, or shall we move on? I'm just aware of
I
the
think we can
time.
move on. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Move on.
And so then you get to the death and rebirth place. Okay. So I'm going to hand this one over to you. Can you think, is there a time in your journey where you got to this death and rebirth place?
Yes, that's so. Continue on with my story. So, like I said, as a child, I would wake up always in the morning with an angel by my side, bringing me, let's say, divine messages or wisdom. So that point is, so after I've been studying the Bible now, 15 years later, trying to, I made a commitment to overcome the darkness and return to the light. So that was that first morning where I woke up and that angel returned. So it's exactly that big shift in consciousness where I have overcome the darkness. I gained the courage to overcome the fear and the pain. And so once I did that, now I could continue on sort of with my spiritual growth where I had left off when I was a child. So it's that exact moment.
Okay, wow. So that was like a death of the identity of you being in some way that was dark with the band, and you just being totally liberated and plugged into your spiritual connection once again. Yeah?
Exactly. So sort of you sidetracked on your path, and once you find your way back on your path, on your purpose, then it's that specific moment.
Okay, great. And so for those of you scribbling down as well, how do you hope to change? Because, again, that's your big why for doing this journey. So it's a really important question. It's probably going to be that you change more than this thing. There's always spin-offs with the wheel. But just having your big why behind you is really going to help you take that first step. Okay. And then what mindset will I need to transform? So this is the revelation part, yeah? So for you, David, it sounds like the angels came back in and you had this kind of moment. Was it like that?
No, they made that exact sound. That was, very... If we'll make a movie of my story, I'll hire you to make that sound effect. This is perfect.
I have a kind of angel costume upstairs. Looks a bit like Temperance. So, okay. So yeah, you have that revelation. I guess for me, it was when I walked into the TV studios and said, I am not a reader, it was again that death and rebirth revelation point, and they're just looking at me like, what, she's lost the plot, kind of thing. But I knew exactly what I was on about. Never felt more sane in my whole entire life. So there you go. So yeah, what mindset will need to transform? So for me, it was that I love tarot, and that means I therefore have to be shoehorned into being a reader. That was what was needing to be transformed. It was, I love tarot, and actually I need to stay aligned to what my journey is with it and put that out there to society rather than society dictate to me how to work with it. Now, obviously, before I went on this journey, I didn't know that was the mindset that needed to transform. So, sometimes we won't know that until we have the revelation. That's the point of the revelation. But once again, if you just sit with this question or doodle or scribble or write, it can be amazing what can come through. So it's still good to ask it.
Also, for sure, the first time when I started tarot, I think the only venue was, I'm just going to start doing tarot readings for people. And then as I started doing that, then that's when, my guides came in and said, but there's so much more that you have to be using tarot for instead of just, and that's when all the, the wheels started turning. It's like, wow, this is really, I should be teaching people how they can use tarot for themselves rather than just, feed the misconception of fortune telling and divination. And so then I did a complete shift, and it didn't last long, doing readings for people. And so that's when a big revelation came in.
See, this is why I had to stalk you online. There's just no two ways about it. When I read your message and I got the tingles and the downloads, it was like, that's it, you're done for. But put it honestly, on a serious level, it's really when you really connect to who you are, and then you find someone that's done the same, and it's like that it feels like the rest of society is kind of still, or a lot of society still has a different, is in that way that you want to transform. It's amazing, I think, just to find that out there. And that was, for me, when I found your website, that was like a revelation. That was like a moment. It really was. Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. So then, finally, changes. Ta-da! We have the Light and Love Tarot Summit.
There you go. We're here.
Okay, so who will you become? Of course, on this journey is all about becoming you. Yes? So who do you want to become right now? What is that call to adventure for you? Where is it that it's not fitting in your life? You know, sometimes we think we have certain values, but actually they're conditioned values. They're not our true values. And you'll know that when something's not feeling right or not sitting right in your life. And so it's like, what do you want to be instead? You know, and give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be a little bit selfish with this one, because actually the spiritual journey has nothing to do with being nice. And if we try to do it from that place of being nice, all we get is fakery, out of alignment stuff.
There's no perfect state. You know, you can't tell yourself, I want to be perfect, I want to be good, I want to be, you know, an angel. We're not here to be that. We're really here to experience the physical darkness and the physical light. So then it's all about, you know, being true to how we really want to be, who we truly are for our own good, our own self.
And when that happens, that's when you get the real good coming through. And yeah, that's it. It's like, what is for my highest good is always the question to ask, because then if you ask what's for the other person's highest good and then ask what's for the highest good of all, you actually end up with the same answer, unless you're coming from that place still where you're like, oh, you know, I can't do this because it will make them feel like that. That's actually not the truth. That is actually not an alignment at all. So when you're in that place of like, actually, what do I just need to do for myself that's for the highest good? It does empower. It is for the highest good of all. And so do allow yourself this question, you know, of like, who do you want to become? And I know a lot of people sit there and go, oh, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I don't know who I want to become. And I'll tell you something, it's not true. Like every single person I have spoken to on the phone that has said, or Skype or whatever you want to use these days, telepathy, but you know, and anybody I've spoken to that started by saying that has never left a session without telling me what they want to do.
It's based on fear. A lot of it's based on fear, or you think it's just too crazy that it can be possible, so you forget about it. But that's the thing, that, you know, if you think it's too crazy or it's too out there and it's impossible for it to happen, that's what you're going to focus on, and then follow your gut on how to manifest it.
Yeah, and permission levels and fear is part of that permission. You know, it's like, and you might say you're confused or you're too afraid, and actually, you know, it's the permission as well, because we're conditioned not to as well. So that allowing ourselves to is a big thing. Again, that comes back to the call to adventure again, and how much are you allowing it? Yeah. But you all know who you are, and you all know what you want to do. And even if you're there and you're shaking your head at me right now, I don't believe you at all. And if you buy my retreat this week and you get your free ticket to the Light and Love Tarot Festival, David's, I will also give you a free session where we can go into this week only. And so, you know, we'll go into this and you won't leave it saying that you don't know who you are or what you want. I promise you that. Or I'll pay you your money back and you can have the retreat for free. How's that? There you go. All right. All right. So make good atonement. What will I need to face? Da, 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 da. Okay. So what did you need to face? Can I ask you to bear all?
That's hard. What comes to me is temptation of returning.
Yes.
It's, you let it go, but you don't let it go. Since it's such a big part of your life, it's always part of who you are. So it's that, do we go and try it again? I could try differently. It's going to be good. But, so it's that part that's forever there.
I think that's such a key part that you've said. Have you seen Sliding Doors?
It's a movie?
Yes.
I'm asking the question. It's because I didn't watch it.
Okay. It's a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow. Do you know who she is?
Yes, of course.
Okay. All right.
She's a good friend of mine.
Of course. She's your angel. She looks like an angel. Okay. All right. So, yeah, in Sliding Doors, for instance, I use that analogy. So I can't go into it. I'm aware of the time, but it's very much like life, in that, as you say, temptation to return. Like, I think most of society lives itself in the devil, which is the refusal of the call to adventure, right? And so you start conditioning yourself with society. It might be job, it might be marriage, it might be, I'm not saying that all marriages are conditioned, or anything like that, but things where we're expected to like go to a certain and do a certain thing, or have gotten into that kind of unconscious way of living, and then we get unhappy and we moan about it, but we don't do anything to change it, and then boom, the tower comes along, crash,
forces
bang.
you. That's right.
Yes, absolutely. And in Sliding Doors, the moment is when she gets the sack, and in Sliding Doors, it's like there's the London tube doors, and on one level, on one parallel life, she catches the tube, and on the other one she doesn't. On the one that she catches, she arrives home and she finds, because she's just got the sack, and she finds her boyfriend in bed with some woman. And so that was her tower moment. And therefore she then goes on to the star, right? Because she creates her own business and she finds a loving relationship, right? Now, when people have readings, they don't want the tower, they want the star. But actually, if we go back a minute, the tower is the strike of enlightenment that releases Adam and Eve from hell, right? Okay. And it might be like, oh God, I've just been made redundant and I've just found out that, my husband's having an affair or something like that. And instead of going, that's amazing, I have absolutely no way of paying the bills, and it's great because I'll just start my own business and I have faith that I will find love again with someone that won't cheat on me, because our beliefs are so limited. What actually happens is that even though at that moment you are going towards the star, which is what you want, what actually happens is they go, oh my God, I've got no stability, which is the devil, stability, material structure. And so they run back to the devil. So it's like what you were saying about the temptation to go back. They run back to the devil. Yeah. Get the first job, get the first relationship, just to have some security, because when you're looking at that star, woo, I mean, it's overwhelming looking at the universe, right? How the heck can I do something with no ready-made structure? But that is where the gift is. Look at it on this journey. It's, it's where the gift is.
You need to have the belief that anything is possible. So you have to overcome all your fears. You have to face your inner demons in order to truly appreciate the star. Otherwise, you won't see the beauty and, the unlimited possibilities.
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. And so, yeah, there's some good Saturday night viewing for you. Practical Magic and Sliding Doors.
Sliding Doors.
Yeah, which is like a bit like in one life she's awake and in the other she isn't, and what happens. And that's like really the call to adventure, being on it or not being on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as David says, what vision do you need to hold true to when you're in this place of the star? And people, you know, I read for people and they get the star out there and they're reading and they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And I'm sat there thinking, you know, like, you know, I'm there and I'm thinking, are you really cut out for this? So then I might grill them a bit, you know, on like seeing, you know, if they really are able to catch that star. And it is about keeping your mind on that one big star above the head there, and that's your vision. So, you know, there's going to be times in this journey that are going to challenge you, and it's important for you to remember what your guiding star is, what your North Star is, and why you're doing it. So that's that question. What's the vision? Yeah. Why are you on this journey? Why do it in the first place?
Exactly.
And so then you return changed. The moon, the sun, subconscious, conscious, judgment. When we release our judgments, the world becomes our oyster. That's why judgment's before the world, in my opinion. And we return back to our lives. So like, for instance, in the Transformational Truth of Tarot, people return back to their life. They actually find that their relationships have shifted and changed. And it might be that they've healed, or it might be that actually they've moved into different ones, or things like that, and different ways of being. So it's like, you might not even know why you've got this call to adventure. It sounds like you knew that you had to return to the light. So you knew that you wanted that life at the end of it, and that was the vision that kept you going, even when you were tempted to return. Yeah. So again, it's your big why. That's really important. Rather than focusing on fear, is actually keep topping up the piggy bank of what your vision is. You know, keep putting your energy in that one and not in the fear piggy, because the fear piggy will just get very, very big and eat the vision piggy.
Exactly what happens.
Okay, all right. So last slide. And yeah, so that's just a recap on the journey that we've done. Yeah. Last slide is one tip that I am giving you out of, there's 3 things that I do daily with the tarot to keep me consciously living the hero's or the fool's journey. And that is that I take a card a day in the numerical order. Okay. And I work with that card. So today I'm on the Tower, for instance, today. Okay. And I will ask myself, where is this card showing up in my life? Who am I meeting that reminds me of this card? How am I being like this card? And then I write it out in the evening, because as you said, writing is where the magic appears. You have the thought, the word, and then the deed. The deed is to share. You also spoke about how important sharing is. And so like in my groups, we share this. And it is incredibly important. And people see things that you didn't see as well. And it's like, oh my God. So that's the magic, is the thoughts, which are the questions, the word, and the deed. So you can put it on your phone. So I've just got a load of notifications actually, but underneath all these notifications, online business for you, I have, you know, there is the tower, there is the picture of the tower, and using a picture that you feel inspired by is important, because actually you'd be amazed how much the actual picture of the card plays out. So again, you can actually make your own film. You can live your own, you can be the creator of your blockbuster by actually, you know, finding the pictures on Google of the cards that resonate for you and snapping them, putting them on your phone, because we look at our phones 150 times a day. And then you have the reminder, that it's here. When you pick it up, and you can go, oh yes, I'm on the tower, what's been happening, who have I been meeting? So it acts as that visual reminder. The lady that's just, go on.
Yes, I love doing this exercise. I do it myself, and I find it's so amazing how you're just sitting on your, you know, doing your regular thing throughout the day, and then you just see an event happening or something happens, and I check out for a few seconds, and I just get the download of that archetype energy as that moment is happening. And I love it. It's a way to really connect on a personal level with a tarot card. And then when that card comes up in a reading, you already have a personal connection with that card. So it's so much easier after when you're doing a reading for yourself or for someone else. I love this exercise.
Yeah, it's incredibly powerful. And I love how you said it there about how the archetype comes alive. It's like you just look up and there it is.
Yeah.
Like this picture here of the Fool, which, it is one I've just got off of Canva. It's not one from my own life, but I live my life and the archetypes do show up like this with a message. And the Fool did one day when I was at a comedy show. I think I might have told this story before, so I'll be very quick, but it was boring. All the comedians were just like clones, until the last one came out with crazy hair and a banjo and was just like, brought the whole house down. And it was only then that I realized I was on the Fool. And I was like, oh my God, there he is. And the message is, stop trying to be like everyone else.
That's right.
And so it's very powerful, and it makes you want to live life more. I think it's like, oh my God, what is going to happen next? So there's many amazing things to live, that you get from this exercise. Okay, so on that note, you can all go on your Fool's journey. You can start by downloading the Fool, putting it on your screensaver, and off you go. And that's the end of the presentation.
I think I loved it. I'm sure everyone loved it as well. It's fantastic. Love the images. We have a couple of minutes left to answer some questions. Let's try. You ready for that?
Yes.
Couple of questions? All right. So we have a lot of hellos from New York, Toronto, Singapore, currently in London.
That's Gabrielle. Hello, Gabrielle.
Southern Spain, California, Florida. Olivia from Florida. Wow. All right, let's see. From Montreal, Gabby. Very nice. Also from Montreal, myself. Hello, Gabby. Southern Oregon, Audrey. London, all right. Cornwall, England. All right, first question from Audrey. Very important question. I'm not sure if you'll be ready for this. You cut your hair, it looks great.
No question about where I got it cut from.
A remark.
In case you want to know. That's the answer.
All right. Well, from Jacqueline, wow, Tiffany, heavy story shows how strong you are. Lots of love from Jacqueline. What a luck for us that you decided to take us on to the tarot journey. Jacqueline again. Audrey, I've got chills. Not many questions though. How predetermined is our future on this earth plane? Have we signed a binding contract to how our life is going to be? This is from Cindy.
Well, obviously I can only talk about my beliefs here.
Of course.
So, okay. After I lost Lauren, I didn't lose her. She's still with me. But after she crossed the threshold and went on her own adventure, my mum bought me a book called Journey of Souls. And it's a book by Michael Newton, who was a clinical hypnotherapist, and he didn't believe in past lives. But his subjects not only started going back through past lives, but the life between life state. And it just blew my mind, that book, because it was like everything I believed in written form staring me in the face for the first time ever. And it talks about life selections and soulmates and soul contracts and things along those lines. And I absolutely 110% believe in soulmates, soul contracts, and purposes and things along those lines. What I don't believe is that we are tied or bound to I don't believe in punishment. I believe that we go through things. I also, this is a bit controversial, but I also believe that we choose what we go through here. And I believe that we choose it 110% as well. And that it's about what you do with it. I think it's what you said earlier. So it's not like we're destined to be doomed. It's like we're destined to go through certain things, but we always have a choice about how we go through them, and it's through that we evolve. Does that make sense?
Yes, and just to add, what I believe in is that we choose an experience for, let's say, our particular lifetime. But it doesn't mean our entire life now, moving forward in the future, is just going to replicate that contract. There is no contract. That's why I said you can never foretell the true future. You manifest your future. And your current actions, your current feelings, your current thoughts, your current fears is what makes your future. All right? So if you don't like, you know, a tarot can help us understand where we are headed, but then we're in control to change our path. So that's really, I believe, it's not set and destined and written as a binding contract. It's we chose this particular lifetime to have a specific experience. But once we are here, we're in control. We can choose not to have that experience. You know, if we want to be like a hermit and just stay hidden and avoid all the obstacles and all the experiences, the pain and the pleasures. But if not, the future is determined by today's actions, today's feelings, our thoughts, our emotions. And as the day go on, the future keeps changing. It's forever changing.
It's the same with astrology. Like if you look at somebody's astrology chart, and again, they can feel a little bit doomed sometimes by it. But actually, it's not a web to be stuck in. It's a trampoline to bounce off. And so I think that's what you're saying again, isn't it? It's like...
Yes, it's in our control. It's each of our control. And if you don't like a specific thing, doesn't mean you have to suffer the rest of your life, because that's what you're destined to. That's not true. It's you can take your life, take control of your life and turn it around.
Otherwise, what's the point of being here in the first place?
Of course, it's a game. We're here to play. We're here to play the game. It's a physical world to have what we cannot experience on the spiritual realm. So again, we have the physical darkness that is here to really push the boundaries of spirituality. And it's a great. I mean, I really believe it's a great. It's sort of school. We're here for the soul. The soul needs to have this specific experience. And not all souls choose to come to Earth to have this experience. Which book?
The Journey of Souls. I keep giving you books to read, don't I? And movies to watch. Here. But when you say school, you know, that's also part in the... I'll say the book again for everybody watching as well. Journey of Souls, Michael Newton. That will really help with that question. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, let's move on. Time is cutting really short. Okay, so Lara says, Cindy, I believe we do have free will. I agree so as well. Elise, becoming a parent equals call to adventure. Definitely. I have 2 kids. And again, for me, when I spoke to my wife about it, we can never wait to say, okay, we are ready to have children. The world is perfect. No, it is something that you have to let it happen and trust into it. And then you deal with it. You know, it's an incredible experience and you work with it. You cannot wait. Yeah, you cannot wait for the world to be perfect, to have the best job and the best house and the best income. So it is a call to adventure. It's a leap of faith. You love children. You just take the leap and you go for it. So that's a great example, becoming a parent. Again, from Elise, sometimes the crossing of the threshold is literally that, i.e., the immigration experience. So it's exactly that. Fantastic. From Jacqueline, Tiffany, are you going to have this course in Bath or Cornwall? So you have a client here asking for a class.
So my work is online unless it's a retreat or I speak at a conference. That's it now. So basically my retreats used to be part of the Transformational Truth of Tarot, but I've opened them up to the public. And it's basically open to anybody who is thinking of dipping their toe into the adventure, but isn't quite ready to jump off the cliff. that's the point of opening the retreat up. Do we do the journey on the retreat? No, but we do work with it in terms of archetypal. So it's the same with the Canadian retreat. Basically, we work with the birth chart, and we bring in, say, Sun in Pisces, like you have, David. You know, we would then stick maybe Sun in Pisces, the Hanged Man, up. Okay, and then you'd go through all your planets with the astrological versions and stick them up there, and you would have your Astro Tarot mandala. And then, so you would see that journey in that circle. And then you look at the aspects between to see the relationships between the cards that are playing out within you, the archetypes that are playing out within you, and how the relationship is. And then we dance it out. So we channel the energies down, and it's like, I don't know if you've heard of family constellations. Have you heard of family constellations? That's where basically it's quite I haven't done it yet. September I'm doing it, but it's quite a profound, so I've heard, where people role play each other's family, and actually the channeling that happens is crazy in terms of how they become that energy. And I found the same at the retreats when we do the birth chart work, and we bring in the astrology with the tarot, and then we bring in the movement channel. Oh my goodness. So, you know, the journey comes alive in that way. Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay.
All right. Next, Elisa says, every time I do the journey, it gets deeper and deeper.
Very
Absolutely.
good. Yeah.
From Gabrielle, love how you connected the hero's journey to the major arcanas. When's the next time you're doing the Zero to Hero's journey again?
Good question, Gabrielle. So the Zero to Hero is the mini version of the Transformational Truth of Tarot, and it's when I just take people through the major arcana for 21 days, and they do a little journey. And I'm just finishing with a group now. Then I'm going to Spain, then I'm going to Canada, then I'm going to Mexico. It might be the end of the year, but the Transformational Truth of Tarot is always open. And just because that's always open, don't go into the, oh, well, then I'll just wait until everything's perfect, like David has said. Yeah, it's
take
like
initiative. You have to take the initiative. If you feel it, if you're thinking about it, it's because your soul is yearning for it. It's yearning for it. It needs it. It knows that's the next step that it needs. So that's the way I see it, is when something comes to mind and I get an urge, a feel, it's because my soul requires that experience. So I have to go for it, even though I think it's maybe not the right time. You know, so my wife thinks I'm a little reckless.
My husband thinks the same. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, it's the call of your soul. Exactly. Yes. And so you can do that journey with me anytime. And it's just about going, hey, you know what? I feel that call, and everything else doesn't look like it can happen, or, you know, maybe, but so what? I'm just going to reach out to Tiffany and have a chat with her. And let's see if she can be the mentor to get me off of this cliff and onto my journey. Now, that's what it's about.
Perfect. Now, from, let's see here. Okay. No. Let me see the question. All right. To David's point on creating our future, Elise says, from the Shaman's Oracle deck, the future enters into us to transform in us long before it happens. So I guess we're ready to accept the future. So that's beautiful. I'll actually make a note of that. I haven't seen the Shaman Oracle deck, but I'll take a note of that for sure. I love that. Jacqueline, yes, I am a family therapist. Not sure what she was and who she was answering. And Lisa, who are you doing it with, Tiffany? I have a connection who runs retreats doing this.
I'm not sure I totally understand that question. Sorry, Lisa.
Wasn't sure what that was referring to.
Yeah, but if it's like the family constellations, it's not family constellations on the retreat. It's what I call the Astro Tarot dance, because I love a practice called 5 Rhythms, which I've done for many years. So it's kind of based more on that. But the family constellation what I've heard about family constellations in terms of the channeling the energies is what seems to happen. Is that people activate that archetypal power of channeling that archetype. Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I think that's it for the questions. Are we ready for the offers now?
Indeed.
Let's see. So we'll start with the first offer, which is Tiffany's retreat. I'll post it up, published. So it's live now. So I recommend everyone clicks on it because we can't post more than one offer at a time. So I'll leave it on for a couple of seconds. Everyone click on it so you'll have the tab open on your browser, and then I'll start publishing the other offers. So I'll leave it on for another 3 seconds. 2, 1. I'll remove the offer. Tiffany, did you click on it? It's too late. I removed it. I removed it. It's gone.
I'm going. You might be glad to know.
I'll publish the offer now for the festival, the Tarot Festival. So that gives you a 20% discount. So again, everyone click on that link so it opens a tab before I remove the offer. And 3, 2, 1. So that offer is removed. And now for Jean's offer of last week that we had technical difficulties with, Tiffany has just posted the link on the chat. So if you can just click on that, and I just clicked it and it's working now. So fabulous. Thank you very much, Tiffany. So a lot of viewers are thanking us. They love the presentation. That's great. Thank you for watching. We appreciate having you and supporting our purpose, supporting our message. It means a lot to us. So we're thanking you for supporting us. So hope everyone's enjoyed the presentation. Gets a bit crazy with Tiffany and I.
I think Juliet was saying the retreat was a little bit too quick.
The retreat, let me put it back. Hold on a second. Special offer. We'll put back the retreat there.
Oh, there you go. Second call to adventure. Are you going to click it or not? And you get your free ticket to the Light and Love Tarot Reading
That's
Festival.
Right. So if you book the solo room, you get the festival pass, a 3-day pass.
And there's only one solo room left.
One left. Wow. So let's see.
Who's it going to be for? Juliet, maybe. She was asking for it again.
Maybe she'll book. All right.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. So I'm removing the offer of Tiffany's retreat in 3, 2, 1.
I can't click it as the button is too low, says Wendy.
For the retreat?
Well, yeah, if you tell us which one you want, we can get the link for you, hopefully.
We'll post the link. Hold on.
We're both like tapping away. Now it's like, who's going to get to the call to adventure first? Is it going to be you, David, or is it going to be me?
Right. So
I think I'm going to be you.
I don't think so. Mine's up. So we have all the links are up. Jean's link, my link, Tiffany's link. So it'll be up there so you can click directly on those links for our offers. Once again, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Great presentation, great story. And next week, we'll be back. I'll be back next week, and we'll be sending out the email reminders.
Yes, you're going to take over my job now, aren't you?
Yes,
You're going to become the hostess with the mostest whilst I'm off gallivanting in Spain.
There you go. Send us some pictures, some stories.
Yeah. Yep, indeed. Well, I've loved doing this with you, David. It's amazing, and I've loved hosting. But yes, this is the end of my hosting, and the last time you'll see me on the screen. So, everyone, lovely to do this with you, and keep enjoying We've got two episodes left.
Yes, with Beth and Katrina. 2 last episodes coming up.
Beth is the art of visualization, or the art of something to do with visualization in tarot that looks very magical. Yes. And Katrina's doing something around a ritual, I think, or the sacredness of the ceremony side. And so, I think that's also a really powerful one to end on. So I think you're going to have some mind-blowingly
experience.
Yeah, very much
Looking forward. All
All
right.
right. That's
Thank
it.
you very much, everyone. Thank you,
Everybody.
Tiffany. Thank you,
you.
Juliet, for your support on the
Yes,
chat.
thank you, Juliet.
We'll see y'all next week.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.